10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Let's get her going. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. Yeah, buddy. On a Monday, a brand new week coming in hot. I hope you are as well. Mitchell Scruffy Blair, co-host with me. And coming up in hour two, legendary NHL broadcaster Jeff Rimmer. Calgary product, did you know that? First ever voice of the Florida Panthers and later on the Columbus Blue Jackets. I couldn't find my spectacles, but I got them now. And you know what? Let's jump right into the quick six show topics. And the first topic is we welcome Mitchell Scruffy Blair, the peerless broadcaster from the Queen City. It's simply a weekend sports wrap, Mitch. It's a dog's breakfast. We had golf at the Palm Beaches. You were into curling, a lot of hockey. The combine was on. I'm interested to know where was your remote? What was the majority of your television on it? Casa Scruffy this weekend.
I went through a lot of different things this weekend. Watched Shane Lowry gas the Cognizant Classic. That's 5 tournaments this year, Rod, where I have had the winner finish in the top 5. And Shane Lowry, I had him to win the tournament, like a lot of others did, and he gassed it. So I'm going to start learning to pick guys in the top 5 instead of winning tournaments.
Well, God
being
bless
a Canadian,
you.
Being a Canadian, the Montana's Brier is on, the Canadian Men's Curling Championship. Kelly Knapp, the representative for Saskatchewan, and Mike McEwen, who's also representing Saskatchewan, both curling on TSN this weekend. And both, one of them's, Kelly Knapp lost this morning. He's 1-2. I think McEwen is 2-1. All the heavyweights are there. The Olympic champ, Brad Jacobs, Brad Gushu, his last Brier, which coincidentally is in Newfoundland, his home province. A lot of good rinks. And
Okay.
We'll see going into the weekend who make the Final Four.
Okay, well, listen, I obviously wasn't watching curling. Mine was a lot of more of the combine than I expected, which is going to come up in our topics here. Yeah, okay. And a lot of NHL hockey. I mean, it is the Canadian Hour here on Game Plus Television, and Scruffy's with me. But here, quick, you had me at Montana's. I didn't hear anything after that. You go to Montana's, Mitchell, and you have a $100 gift card. What are you ordering? Because I'll let you think about it for a second. Last time I came to the Great White North, I flew to Toronto on a Friday on a direct flight out of Miami. I stayed overnight in Toronto at the Toronto Airport Hotel, and I walked to a Montana's. It was so great. And then I got up the next morning and flew to Regina to speak at the event because I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want, travel snafus. And they had a sampler, and it was magnificent. Like a sampler platter. A little ribs, a little brisket, a little, What are you ordering if you go to Montana's?
You can't go wrong with ribs and brisket if done right. And Montana's does them right.
Is that what you're ordering?
The Brier was here a couple of years ago. Roddy, I know you've been to curling events in Regina. The Tim Hortons Brier when it was under the donut coffee
and
chain.
Moose Jaw.
And they always used to have coffee and donuts from Tim's. I wondered aloud if the Montana's Brier would have like sampler platters and everything like underneath the stands. Because if so, I think I could have basically OD'd on brisket for a week.
Yeah, well, remember when Labatt sponsored the Tankard? It took us a while to get home. It took us a while to get home from those events.
Roddy, I have a story from Grand Prairie, Alberta in my days up there at a Canadian Mixed Curling Championship. And the the president of the Grand Prairie Curling Club made it an open bar for the week for the media.
Not a good idea.
That was a major mistake.
Don't do that. No, don't do that. Okay, hang on. So that's the weekend sports recap, and we'll get into way more when we come back. But we've got breaking news, something very big on today's show. I want to take a moment to welcome a brand new partner to the show, Scruffy, Prairie Panels. Prairie Panels is a Saskatchewan-based company specializing in high-quality construction panels and engineered building solutions, whether it's for ag, shop construction, or commercial projects. Prairie Panels brings innovative, durable products backed by local expertise. We're excited to have them on board with us because, like this show, they're committed to quality, community, and getting things done right. If you're looking for building materials you can trust, from steel panels to structural solutions, be sure to check them out. prairiepanels.ca. Very simple website to visit, prairiepanels.ca. Big thanks to Prairie Panels for supporting the RP Show and helping bring you great guests and great conversation every day. They're the guest sponsor every day, and today's is Jeff Rimmer. Now, before we break, we do have a couple minutes here. You mentioned you watched the Florida-New York Islanders game last night, as did we. I had company here this weekend. Joe Lazzato and his beautiful wife, Andrea, was here from Long Island. It was perfect. Their Islanders were taking on my Panthers. Did you get the ESPN feed where the microphones weren't working? Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Did you get that?
Yep.
Did you feel for the guys?
Oh, yeah. We've all had it happen. We've all had it happen.
I know.
That's the first time since before Christmas that I've watched the Islanders play.
Yeah.
Matthew Schaefer is just in a league by himself. And he showed it again last night. A pair of goals. One of them was a little bit of a fluky one because it bounced off of 3 or 4 guys. But what I took away from that game, as much as what Matthew Schaefer was doing, the Florida Panthers just waved the white flag. It's over. It's time to start selling. They just don't look anything like the team that's won the Stanley Cup the past couple of years. They really looked bad last night, I thought, defensively. I don't know if it's an Olympic hangover, and I know Sam Bennett scored twice for Florida, but it seems like the Olympic guys, that Olympic hangover has hit, if you know what I mean. And I wonder if that was the case in Tampa the other night when Buffalo walked in there and basically dog-walked the Lightning. So I just wonder maybe, and obviously, some other teams that had a lot of guys. Colorado looked bad the other night, getting beat by Minnesota. Excuse me. But yeah, I really like Matthew Schaefer.
Hang on.
Wow.
Let me pause you for a sec because we're going to a break in a minute. We'll pick this up after the break. The word around South Florida, and I love the fact that I'm now welcomed by the hockey fan community here. They're like, because the Panthers came out flying against the Leafs Thursday night, and whatever they beat them 5-1, I think. And I was the fans here were like, were we that good or were they that bad? And I'm like,
they were that bad.
The Leafs are definitely that bad, but you kind of saw the worst of the Florida Panthers last night. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to get into here, plus the underwear Olympics of the NFL Combine, more curling talk for Scruffy. Joe Lazzato wanted to know what you'd be into today, and I said it'll be curling. Scruffy will be all over the curling. So, yeah, we've got a lot to get to today. And Jeff Rimmer coming up, the iconic NHL play-by-play man. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show across Canada and 33 U.S. states on the Game Plus television network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikassis Developments Limited.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody. If you're looking for lunch plans, have you considered Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn, Steakhouse and Saloon? Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Scruffy's with me. Speaking of friends, we have a hell of a lot to get to, so I'm going to jump more into the NHL. And just so you know, Mitch, we ran a poll last week. What are you most into right now with football over? 72% said hockey. Yep. 12% said baseball. 8% said football, and the rest was other. So everybody's into hockey right now. So, hey, I'm not dumb, or I am. But if the viewers say this is what they want, this is what we'll give them. Mason McTavish and Leo Carlsson scored in the shootout. Cutter Gutche scored twice in regulation. The Ducks beat the Flames 3-2 in NHL play Sunday. Anders Lee's goal with 32 seconds left in the third gave the Islanders a 5-4 win over the Panthers. We discussed that in New York. Michael Misa scored 140 into overtime, and the San Jose Sharks topped the Winnipeg Jets 2-1. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about hockey-wise. I opened my phone in the break, Mitch, to Twitter. All I saw was people bitching, people fighting. That's not what we do here every day for 2 hours. We pause that. We're not going to get into that. But it seems like there's a lot of bitching around the Oilers. How do you feel about this Western roadie? Yeah. Hey, can I just say this? Yeah, go.
Well, I don't want to start ripping on
start
people.
It. Oh.
But, and I've said this to you, like, this isn't just something that's come up. I've bitched and moaned about this for the last couple of years. I think even before I started coming on this show. I think probably when you and I were working together, when a local sports talk show was actually something to listen to. Darnell Nurse
we are still local. But
is an albatross for the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers will not win as long as Darnell Nurse is in their lineup. Darnell Nurse refuses to renegotiate his contract. He has a no-trade clause, which I think Peter Chiarelli gave him. Thanks, Pete. With the money that this guy is making and the performance that he gives night in and night out, the Edmonton Oilers can't win. And they're not going to win. And I don't, you can sit there and talk about the deficiencies in that team. But Stan Bowman, who I think has done a horrible job as general manager of the Oilers since he took over, is hamstrung by the fact that he can't move this guy. Say what you will. I think Darnell Nurse needs a new start. I think Morgan Riley needs a new start. I would love to see Morgan Riley come to Toronto for Darnell Nurse. That won't happen.
Oh. Wouldn't it
As
be
I
nice?
put on Facebook yesterday, I don't know if Darnell Nurse is the number one defenseman for the Stony Plain Eagles, which is their senior team.
How did that go over?
A few people liked it. I haven't had
Can I
anybody
pause?
come back at me yet, so.
Let me pause this for a second. From the audience, Bill in the Queen City says, "Go, Scruffy, go." I was asking earlier if you're going to Montana's, what are you ordering? Because the Montana's Briar is on, and I love me some Montana's. Rich in Edmonton says wings, ribs, and the brisket. Jeff the Stamps fan says, I'm getting the barbecue sampler and nachos. I got the barbecue sampler. I did not get nachos. Next time I will. Rich in Edmonton goes on to say it's time soon for the Oilers to wave the white flag for the same reason Scruffy is describing for the Panthers. Just hang on for a sec. And Rich also says, I don't know, you're trading one problem for another. I'm big on the change of scenery thing. I live in Florida. And by the way, it's worked great, as I was discussing with Mitch earlier. So I'm big on that. I think that works. But I looked up the NHL betting odds, and it was from FanDuel and futures for the Stanley Cup, Mitch.
Yep.
And it was like, off the top of my head, Colorado 1, Tampa Bay 2, I want to say Vegas, Carolina 3, Vegas 4, Edmonton 5. Do you ever look at these betting things, and I know you work in that space more than I do, and go, are you guys following the league? But as of
Roddy,
Saturday, the Oilers were number 5.
No, I know, but I think that's just because of 97 and 29.
Then why the bitching?
You know, now this sort of snuck up on me this weekend. The Edmonton Oilers have 3 players in the top 10 in league scoring because Evan Bouchard is 9th now. You know what? Evan Bouchard's not a great defenseman, but I think Edmonton fans are more than willing to put up with his defensive mistakes because of his offensive prowess. But like you and I talked about before the Olympics, I didn't want Evan Bouchard anywhere near that Canadian team because of the defensive mistakes that he makes. And they had a guy that can do this in Cale Makar. And then, of course, he makes a mistake on the golden goal and like McDavid and McKinnon, but we move on. But I don't disagree. The team I think that you should be putting money on is the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Wild, after the Quinn Hughes trade, really jumped up the ranks. I think the Minnesota Wild might be the best team in that Central Division right now with Colorado, Dallas. And Roddy, I think Steve Stamkos is going to end up in Minnesota by the end of the week.
Well,
Bill
hang
Guerin
on,
is going to get another high-quality player in that lineup.
I'm with you on all of that, but Minnesota did go into Utah and lose Friday night because I went back and looked at my picks, and I thought that was a lock. There's no locks in the NHL right now. Right, and here's the thing is to write off the Oilers, I think, would be a fool's errand. Now, the Panthers, like, do you believe in analytics and stuff like NHLforecast.com? I was looking that up this weekend. The Panthers have a 4.4% chance of making the playoffs. Yet, if you go talk to Bill Zito and Paul Maurice, they think they can be in the playoffs and want to be. 4.4%.
Yeah, but again, it's coach speak and it's GM speak, Rod, because if you're going to, before the trade deadline, say, we're not a playoff team, and you're there on the cusp, like, what message are you sending to your fans for the final quarter of the season? And for the Florida Panthers that have won the Stanley Cup the last couple of years, like, I just don't think that Bill Zito and Paul Maurice want to wave that flag yet, even though we can all see it.
I don't think they do.
You know, and they're not going to get in. And, you know, you were sort of I'll give you credit, you were the first one to bring up a Sergei Bobrovsky trade, which is now starting to permeate both in Canada and the U.S. I know Kevin Weeks brought it up on the weekend. Bob's playoff resume is great, but what has Sergei Bobrovsky done this year to give you confidence that he can take a team like Montreal to the next level? And people have also said, I laughed Sergei Bobrovsky to Edmonton. How ironic would that be?
Well, you know what's okay, if you really want to get into it, because I try to keep the Panthers and Lightning separate from this show, but at this time of year, it's fine to morph them together. I mean, I follow those two teams really closely. And what's going on here was Bill Zito last week, the general manager of the Panthers, was asked about contract talks with Bob because he's on an expiring deal at $10 million a year. And he said, I don't want to talk about it. I'll let the situation speak for itself. I posted that clip to our Cats and Bolts show. I had people writing me going, what does that even mean? That's very ambiguous. I'm like, I think it was designed to be. It's nothing. You just said coach speak or GM speak. Same thing. They don't want you to know. So here, stick with me. Follow this line of thinking. What if the Panthers are saying to Bob, look, we love you, Bob. We love you. And I believe they do. But we don't think you're the $10 million a year player you've gotten for the last 7 years. So they're trying to get him on a deal. What if it's an $8 million offer? What if it's a $5 million offer? And Bob's upset. He's playing upset because it looks like it. What if he just said, hey, I'll take a trade to Edmonton or Vegas or Montreal and shove it all down your throat and show that I'm not the problem? That could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Right.
I think they're trying to cut his wage.
This situation, Rod, very similar to last year with Brad Marchand in Boston. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought that Brad Marchand would leave Boston. And all of a sudden, an hour before the trade deadline, we have a trade and he's going to Florida. And I sort of think that Sergei Bobrovsky is this year's Brad Marchand. I don't think the Panthers really want to get rid of him. But I think that their hand might be forced here. And
if
I
the
think that
contract
Brad
talks
went to
are
Boston
stalled
and said, this is what I want. And the Bruins said, sorry. And Brad ended up signing a deal in Florida. And I think maybe the Panthers don't want to trade Bobrovsky, thinking they might not get him back.
Oh, he'll come back. He will absolutely come back in the summertime. There's no two ways about that. Unless the relationship's ruptured at this point. And that's what I put in my weekend newsletter. And Rod Pedersen, the Monday Morning Goalie, is this is a highly, highly delicate situation. And I'm not even comfortable talking about it because that's how it's a big deal. Oh, stop the presses. While I was ringing the bell, Tony in Saskatoon writes, then he says, the pot roast soup is spectacular at Montana.
Yeah, it is.
Can we all agree that the Montana's menu is elite? And does it not blow your mind when they reach across the table, they pull the brown paper down, and then they write the server writes her name upside down?
See, that means that you and I could never work at Montana's.
I know. How'd you just do that? Your name's Esmeralda. You just spelled it upside down. Wayne.
She's Esmeralda, you're Rod. And it's like, what is that?
And I still would screw it up. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, good morning, Rod, Scruffy, and squad. It was a quiet weekend for me as I can't wait for the NHL playoffs to begin. Nor can we, Wayne, but there is a little thing ahead of this called the trade deadline. And by the way, the text line is brought to you by our friends at Western Dodge. Experience the Western Dodge difference, local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. 902-518-3033 to reach us here. While we have a minute, and I have it written down here, just NFL Combine stuff, I'll tell you the extent of mine. And I told you I had Joe Lozito staying with me. He was nice enough to didn't say, can we change the channel? Because I had it on the TV. Even just background, because we were talking, and I'm like, I don't need to see an hour of 10-yard outs.
Right.
Oh, my God. And that's really all I had it on. I had it on until I didn't have it on. I didn't get anything out of it. So how much of it did you watch?
I didn't watch any of it.
Ooh.
In fact, I hardly saw any of it. I saw a thing on SportsCenter last night after the hockey game about who the stars of the Combine were. They were guys like Jeremiah Love, Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, Sonny Styles, Jacob Rodriguez. I watched more professional wrestling this weekend than I did the Combine. And I loved Elimination Chamber, as I always do, because I'm a wrestling nerd, so...
Yeah, that's me on the big zero. But Jason in Red Deer writes in, he says, the Oilers never thought Gretzky would leave the Oilers. Listen, this popped into my head the other day. Was this not because Wayne wanted to go to L.A. with Janet? That's what it was.
It wasn't. It was Peter Pocklington didn't have the money anymore to keep him.
So Janet was just the red herring?
Yep.
Poor gal.
I know.
Do we look back and say everything happens for a reason, or do we... Like, that was the day that I stopped being an Oilers fan, August 9th, 1988. You know that.
That's the day the NHL became the NHL. Because if that trade doesn't happen, you're not covering the two teams that you're covering.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
a lot
I don't
of
have
other
a problem.
teams in the South that probably wouldn't be around. And if you want to go back to what happened a week ago, I don't think the USA has a gold medal in men's hockey if it wasn't for that trade. So that trade was the best thing for the National Hockey League.
And the worst thing for the Edmonton Oilers? Or no, because they won a Stanley Cup 2 years later. Thanks a lot, Jason and Red Deer, for opening up all these wounds. Hang on. We'll be back. 902-518-3033. We got Jeff Rimmer coming up in hour 2, Hall of Fame voice of the Blue Jackets and Florida Panthers. Lots to get to today. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show, Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show on the Game Plus television network.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikasi's Developments Limited.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back. We do the Junior Hockey Report daily for the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. They went into the weekend in a playoff spot, but start a new week 1 point out. The Moose Jaw Warriors lost for the 9th time in 10 games Saturday night, 4-1 to the Penticton Vees. The Warriors 1 point behind Red Deer for the final playoff spot in the East with just 8 games to go. Warriors welcome the Calgary Hitmen Tuesday night at the Rempel Tempo. And for legendary ribs, delicious pizza, and late-night bites, it's the Mad Greek Eatery, open until 11 p.m. Stop in before the Warrior game or after the Warrior game and tell Johnny you treat us, the Mad Greek, that we sent you. Mitch, I just want to say something, and why this popped up in my mind, I'm not sure, other than with the day of the Gretzky trade, because the trade deadline's coming up. We're talking about NHL trades. Jeff the Stamps fan says, that was the day I stopped fearing the Oilers. Jason and Red Deer says they didn't have the money to keep Gretz. LA just happened to be a great destination for them to deal him to. Here's the whole thing. But these are feelings that don't ever get resolved, okay, with these trades and things. This is why I bring this up and why I'm so hesitant to talk about the Bobrovsky situation here, because I know just enough to be dangerous. But it reminds me of January, let's say 2012. I'm trying to report on the Rough Riders coaching staff because there was nothing else going on. And I'm reporting this guy's leaving, this guy's coming, blah, 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 blah. Corey Chamberlain at a news conference, you know, you were around, Mitch. He turns, he goes, "You causing problems for me, Rod." I'm sorry, I'm just trying to cover the team. Yep. You go put your staff together, and I'll report on the team. But, I mean, it just, do you see how it's changed? I got PTSD.
Oh, I do. Absolutely I do. And you can look at that with just about every team out there. And if they're not doing the basic formula of get the message from us, then they're failing. And some teams have no choice but to go that way because coverage of them has just stopped for whatever reason. Hey, I just want to go back to the junior hockey thing for a second. I saw the Penticton Vees make their first appearance in Regina at the Brandt Center when they were through town. One, the Penticton Vees white uniforms are one of the nicest uniforms I've seen. And two, while I didn't see them at the game, it was nice to see a good friend of ours that used to be a Sports Cage producer, Riley Pollock, who's the play-by-play voice of the Vees, who's doing a fantastic job with them. So, I sort of wish I could have gotten up to say hello to him, but never got that opportunity.
When he started producing our old radio show, Mitch, he came straight out of school. I think it was a practicum. Riley Pollock we're talking about. And I said, you poor kid. He's like, why? What? I said, you're a natural, and I feel sorry for you. Because you're never going to make any money. You're going to be pushed around and abused for your whole career, and you're going to have the greatest time. So congratulations. You're a natural. He's a natural. Okay, point 4, the quick 6 show topics. By the way, number 1 was Weekend Wrap. Number 2 was NHL Weekend. Number 3 was NFL Combine. Number 4 is MLB. The Blue Jays, who played to a 4-4 tie with the Detroit Tigers in preseason play Sunday, faced the Boston Red Sox today at TD Ballpark in Dunedin. Jays opened the Major League Baseball season on March 27th against the visiting Athletics. Scruffy doesn't care about that because he likes the Cubs. He doesn't like the Blue Jays. He's a boob. But I'm going to ask you if you are going to get in. That's our poll question. Are you going to get into the World Baseball Classic? I'm starting to get into it, Mitch, because here I am sitting in Florida. Did you just shake your head no?
Oh, no, I'm just waiting for the answer here because absolutely I am. I think they play their first game, Canada does, against Colombia Wednesday morning, I think at 11 o'clock Saskatchewan time. Team Canada just announced this morning that Mike Soroka, the Alberta product, will start the first game, followed by Jamison Taillon, who's a member of the Cubs and from Quebec. I'm looking forward to it. And I don't know, it's much like the Olympics with women's hockey where it's going to be Canada and the U.S. where you pretty much know that going into the tournament. It's going to be the USA and Japan in the gold medal game. And when you take a look at those two teams, Roddy, they're just stacked. But what's great is that a lot of the nations that are competing, and I guess it's like the Olympic hockey tournament, you're seeing a lot of guys that are major leaguers. And 4 years ago, this Canadian team, you take a look at the major leaguers now from Canada, this is a pretty good team. And in 4 years from now, maybe we've got a Saskatchewan component and Carter Beck on that team. Because that kid's raking at Indiana State.
Of course. Well, that's the plan. And, of course, again, I'm getting pumped. I went down to the Winter Classic. To get on the Wi-Fi at Lone Depot Park, the home of the Marlins, I had to provide my email address. You know how that all works. And now I'm just getting inundated with propaganda from the Marlins and USA Baseball. They're sending me all these emails. So guess what? I'm reading them. And Aaron Judge plans to lead Team USA to the World Baseball Classic. And they open up on Friday. They play in Houston. And the final is right here in Miami. And I'm going, gee, dag nabbit, maybe I'm going to buy tickets.
Yeah,
all because I signed up.
I'm watching Aaron Judge getting interviewed right now at their training camp.
All because I signed up for a damn Wi-Fi. Anyways, 902-518-3033. Mark in Melfort writes in. He says, I went to the V's game in PA. They have a really good team. Jason in Red Deer writes in. He goes, I agree about the feelings, Rod. I was devastated when the Flames started dealing away everyone after winning the Cup in 89. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about the players, okay? And how just in the entrance of Bob, he might get traded away because they're trying to re-sign him. Elliot Friedman's was quoted as saying it's been a challenge to re-sign Bob. I'm talking about going away. Or Wayne Gretzky coming back the next year with LA and being booed in Northlands. We were all watching. He didn't want to leave. I think about this crap Gretzky's gone through, and I just want to cry for him. I don't think he wanted to leave Edmonton. Well, come on, man. He didn't want to leave Edmonton.
Of course he didn't. And I think Wayne knew what was coming down the pipeline, because in the offseason where he got traded, that they had won the Stanley Cup the year before, and he started that tradition of getting the team picture taken with the guys around the Stanley Cup. And a lot of people will tell you that Wayne had an indication that maybe this was his last game as an Edmonton Oiler, and he wanted to commemorate it by doing that. And of course, it mushroomed into seeing what we see now across the hockey landscape.
And that's all I'm saying. Sure, Jason, you're upset the Flames started dealing with it, but yeah, it sucks. But I'm talking about the players, okay? And back then, they weren't making the money that they are now, and it's still tough. Don't get me where my careers morph here. Feelings are feeling. Doesn't matter if you're making $10 million a year or $10 a year. If you don't feel wanted, you don't feel wanted.
Right. And you know what? I'm just going to take this a step further to today's Edmonton Oilers. I think Connor McDavid truly loves Edmonton. And Connor McDavid and his wife have become a part of the community. Connor McDavid wants to win in Edmonton. Like, he's not just there to get a paycheck. Connor McDavid has a very strong relationship with that family that had that little boy, Ben Stelter, that died of cancer. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Edmonton Oilers win a Stanley Cup when Connor's there, that the trophy's going to that family for a visit. And Connor is established in Edmonton. Like, he has become a part of that community, and I don't think he wants to leave. But if they can't get a Stanley Cup in the next 2-3 years, he may have to go somewhere to get that Stanley Cup.
Right. And then you got Mark Spector saying, how's it feel not to win? Because Wayne did.
Let's not talk about Mark Spector.
Rich in Edmonton writes in and says, Gretzky knew he was leaving a lot of cups on the table. He even says so on that epic 30 for 30. I'll address that after the break. Rich goes on to say, Scruffy is 100% spot on about Connor. Can we stop pumping Scruffy's tires? It's going to go to his head. I've seen it before. 902-518-3033. Nice haircut, Mitchell. Who cuts your hair?
This time I had someone cut it that doesn't normally, because my hair cutter is not around right now.
Well, they did a fantastic job.
Yes.
And those feathers aren't easy to control. Okay. Any parting words?
Me. Well, my problem was when I looked down at the bib, everything was gray, and it's like, what the hell? Because there's enough black on this still, but you know what? I'm getting old.
Aren't we all? Which, by the way,
I know.
is a gift. Is a gift. No, it is.
Okay.
Look at the friends. Look at the friends that we've lost.
Back, but okay.
Look at the friends that we've lost. Wasn't it? Didn't you just say
right.
every day above ground is a win? Okay. All right, Mitchell. Speaking of PTSD, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good.
He's got nothing to say, and that's a good thing, everybody. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. 902-518-3033. Jeff Rimmer coming up in hour 2, legendary NHL play-by-play guy with the Blue Jackets, Panthers, and he'll tell you the Capitals. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right. Well, we're going to get more into why you love this show in a second. Maybe this is part of it. We want to welcome a brand new sponsor to the show. Please support our sponsors. It's what keeps us on the air. I want to take a moment to give a big welcome to our newest partner, Prairie Panels. Okay, everybody, Prairie Panels is a Saskatchewan-based company specializing in high-quality construction panels and engineered building solutions. Whether it's for agricultural buildings, shop construction, or commercial projects, Prairie Panels brings innovative, durable products backed by local expertise. We're excited to have them on board with us because, like this show, they're committed to quality, community, and getting things done right. If you're looking for building materials you can trust, from steel panels to structural solutions, be sure to check them out. prairiepanels.ca. Very splashy professional website, by the way. Big thanks to Prairie Panels for supporting the RP Show and helping bring you the great guests and great conversation every single day. So to that, what did the studies show? 72% of you said hockey is your top focus right now in sports. I'm sure you're into a lot of things. Everybody is. But hockey is what you're into. So, and it is nice when my world here in Florida morphs with Canada and it's all good. Like, for instance, this Sergei Bobrovsky thing. Or with the trade deadline in the NHL looming on Friday, the Gretzky trade has come up and we're debating whether he wanted to leave or not. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I remember channels 2 and 7, Ed Whalen saying the night before there's a 99% chance Gretzky will be traded. I didn't believe it. And I remember the day that it happened, August 9th, 1988. I was working with my mom in the Milestone School, getting set up for the school year because she was the school administrator. Dale Corey read it over the radio that I was listening to, 980 CKRM. I was listening to it. And that was the... That's why I feel for Gretzky at the time and even more now, because that was the station that I would go on to work for 23 years and left, not in a nice way, and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. I had to leave. And that morphs into, it was made very clear to me, you got to go. So I came to Florida, where Sergei Bobrovsky resides. Jason in Red Deer writes, and he says, if Bob wants to stay in Florida so bad, renegotiate the salary to make it work. Oh, if it was only so easy. That's why I was saying, you're upset as a fan when the Flames traded the players from your team. It's fine. I know people don't get it, but here's Bobrovsky making $10 million a year for the last 7 years. He's an absolute god in this town. But I don't know what the Panthers are offering him, but let's say it's like what the Lightning were offering Steven Stamkos, less than 50% of what he was making. Let's just guess that. I don't know. So I'm not overly confident talking about it, but if it's a $5 million per year deal, a 50% pay cut, there's a little thing called self-respect. There just is. No tax state or whatever. It's like, would you like to have your wage chopped by 50%? Pretty damn sure you wouldn't. And this is kind of where we're at. And to be honest, I heard a few things, but I'm kind of waiting until Wednesday's Cats and Bolts podcast live stream to drop it there. But I also don't want to piss off the Panthers. I'll say it again. This is a highly, highly, highly delicate situation of what's going on here specifically. And I don't know what the figures are. And Bill Zito said last week at the news conference, he doesn't want to talk about it publicly. So, yeah. 902-518-3033. So with regards to your top sports focus, Tony in Saskatoon writes back. He says, Mitch, bringing it today as always with curling, wrestling, and Montana's references. Even a peek at the golf, too. Love the Elimination Chamber as well. Great show so far, guys. Tony from Saskatoon. Hey, you can only go downhill from here, especially with Scruffy gone. But that's, we don't all think the same. That's why there's so much warring out there, both literally and figuratively. But it's just, for me, I need to be successful, whittle things down to just a few things and be good at those and follow those. So for me, I watched a lot of NHL this weekend, the NFL Combine because it was on. And maybe when the UFL fires up, I'll watch that because I really love football and I'm going to get into the baseball. But I'm not even starting down the whatever the event was at the Palm Beaches here. This ain't ever going to be a golf show, but Mitch was following it. The curling, it's not really my thing. Even the curling people know that. I've hosted many, many events with the Russ Howards and the Rachel Homans. I can follow it. I know what's going on. And speaking of that, I do have a sports update here, but I'm not going to set my calendar to it. That's just not my thing. Football, baseball, golf. That's enough for a simpleton like me. Know thyself. Sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw. Brad Jacobs, Team Canada. Brad Gushu of Newfoundland and Labrador. Kevin Cooey of Alberta. And Matt Dunstone of Manitoba are all undefeated heading into today's action at the Montana's Briar in St. John's, Newfoundland. Jacobs, Gushu, and Cooey are all 3-0. while Dunstone is 2-0. We've had Cooey and Dunstone on this show, and if our business manager Joe has his way, we'll have Jacobs and Gushu as well. And here's the thing. I know enough about Ben Hebert multiple times. It's not like I don't like it. There's just a lot of options out there. Capiche? There are 6 games in the National Hockey League today, including one in Toronto, where the Maple Leafs will be looking to snap a 3-game slide when they host the Philadelphia Flyers, who have won 2 in a row. Elsewhere, the Vancouver Canucks will be aiming to snap a 5-game slide when they host the Dallas Stars, who have won 8 in a row. That's matched a franchise best. The LA Kings fired coach Jim Hiller Sunday after losing 5 of their past 6 games and falling out of an NHL playoff spot. DJ Smith was named the interim replacement for the remainder of the season in the first coaching change by general manager Ken Holland. Hiller was in his second full season in charge of the Kings, who looked lifeless in an 8-1 loss to the Oilers on Thursday. To be frank, I thought that Hiller was going to get torched today. They hired Ken Holland. Didn't happen. He gave him until this far to prove himself, and it didn't happen. So we'll see what DJ Smith can do. The sports update is brought to you by our good friends at the Ultimate Fan Zone. Collectors, listen up, and as you see, we are here. Hockey cards, autographs, fan memorabilia, all at Ultimate Fan Zone. Don't wait. Shop ultimatefanzone.ca. Let's get some more comments in here, please. 902-518-3033. There's a war going on between the Oilers and the Flames fans, and let's just let them war. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, Rod, are you doing CEBL again this summer? Oh, you meant Western Canadian Baseball League, right? Because I've had nothing to do with the Canadian Elite Basketball League for a long time and won't. Largely since my good friend, the commissioner, Mike Morielli, has left the league. You're not seeing CEBL coverage here. And as far as the baseball goes, probably one day at a time, brah, as the bracelet says. So the plan is, that I'll be back this summer for a 3rd season with the Western Canadian Baseball League, not to be confused with the CEBL. But time moves on. Carter Beck, the aforementioned Carter Beck, who, as Scruffy said, is raking with Indiana State this year in the NCAA League. He's not going to be back this summer. So the plan is, yes, but I'm not promising anything. The wonderful deal that I have with the Millers is it's a year-by-year thing with the understanding that I'll be back every year, but don't be upset if I'm not. Joshua Dorr checks in. Hey, by the way, I was thinking of you the other day. Joshua Dorr writes in. He says, what's going on, Rod? He lives here in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And Josh, I'm glad because I was going to DM you. Do you say that because that's the way Scott used to say it? Our former master at the South Florida Tribune. What's going on, Rod? That's what he used to always say. And Josh says, I haven't been on here. Or is that your thing? I get a lot of spare time. So these are the things that grace my mind. Maybe I should be watching golf and curling instead of thinking about these needless things. Oh, you're in Lake Worth. I thought you were in Deerfield. Whatever. South Florida. You're not answering my question. What's going on, Rod? By the way, next hour, Jeff Rimmer is going to be with us, and I'll be very interested to know his take as we approach NHL trade deadline. And actually, Josh, yours too, as a Panthers fan that you are. Does it not seem like the Sergei Bobrovsky thing with the Panthers is getting a little sticky? Talked about this with Scruffy. I mean, the other night, I got to be careful. Let's just say a source said, we talked about the season Sergei Bobrovsky's had with the Panthers. I said, has he been that bad? Everybody knows I could never be a GM because I get too attached to the guys. The GMs don't. We kind of got hearts of stone. I think Bill Zito is actually a really nice guy. But when it comes to negotiations, you can't be nice. But I said, has Bob been that bad? The guy says to me, I can't say there's been one game this year that Bob's cost the Panthers the win. I'm like, no, exactly. His numbers aren't that great, but he hasn't blown up. But then last night, the 5-4 loss at the Islanders with the ESPN's mics weren't working. Oh, my God, it was an absolute gong. It was a dog's breakfast of a broadcast. I'm sitting there going, this is ESPN. And you can't get the mics to work. It happens. Just telling everybody, it happens. 5-4, they lost last night. Josh says, might as well get something for Bobrovsky, maybe even sign him back in the deadline, but he's not worth close to $10 million anymore. And that's where I think they're at, and I think Bob thinks he is. That's the rub. We've hit on it. And we've been talking about it for a few weeks ahead of everybody else, which is normal. We'll continue this after the break. Oh, I know what you mean, Josh. He's coming back in July, I believe, unless this relationship gets too fractured. Hour 2 coming up right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Welcome to a Monday, everybody. It's the RP Show. welcoming viewers across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. Oh, don't worry, you're not going to escape our glare as we're going to talk some Vegas Golden Knights. It's hour 2 on the Game Plus television network on this Monday, broadcasting across Canada, including 33 U.S. states as well. That includes New Jersey, and Jersey Jim has sent in a message on what we've been talking about today. He's watching right now on Game Plus in the Garden State of New Jersey. Our guest today, which is brought to you by Prairie Panels, and we'll be telling you more about them a little later on. prairiepanels.ca brings you our guest segment daily. Jeff Rimmer joins us, the Hall of Fame voice, formerly of the Columbus Blue Jackets and Florida Panthers, and he's the perfect guy to talk to, or one of the most perfect guys to talk to about what's going on in South Florida right now in terms of the Sergei Bobrovsky situation. And trust me, it is a situation, and we might as well just get down to business right now, okay? So we've been, point one of the Quick Six Show topics is simply the weekend sports wrap, and I've said it many times, I'll say it again. I loathe when the football season is over, i.e. culminating in the Super Bowl, because everybody runs off in a million different ways. We've been talking about, and I'm using it as a silver lining thing. It gives us a lot of things to talk about. The top focus is hockey, and that was mine. And it's funny, Joe Lazzato and his wonderful wife, Andrea, were down here for a wedding in Miami this weekend. They stayed with me. And it's funny because I said, what do you want to do? I go to the ocean. I take all my guests to the ocean. They're like, we're from Long Island. The ocean's not that big a deal to us. Right. When the prairie dogs come, that's the first place they want to go. I didn't see the ocean until I was 27 years old for the first time. Yeah. And we culminated the weekend in watching the my Florida Panthers, because that's where I live, at their New York Islanders Sunday night on ESPN on that Dog's Breakfast butchered broadcast where the mics weren't working and it was awful. But there was that. But then there's also, which if we have time today, we will get into the other things. PGA, for the Canadian viewers, the Montana's Brier is on, the Canadian Men's Championship, and the usual names are atop the leaderboard there. I will get into it, but not until the weekend when the playoffs ratcheted up in the curling situation. But with this, I did go for my run this morning. It was Monday, back to work, back to normal. Had to run off the pizza that we enjoyed while watching the hockey game last night. And I was listening to NBC Sports Radio, as I always do. They'll be my first option, Pro Football Talk on NBC Sports Radio, Mike Florio and Chris Sims. And here's what they're talking about. George Pickens is upset in Dallas with my Cowboys because they franchise tagged him, and he's only going to get $27.3 million in 2026. And then they went on to say, well, he believes he's as good as the Jamar Chases and the CeeDee Lambs. That's that 35 to 40 million range. He's got a reason to be upset. I'm like, I can't. That's off-season stuff when it comes to the NFL, and frankly, what the hockey fans talk about in July when it's millionaires fighting over their money with billionaires, I can't do it. Click. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033, he says, I'm always a football guy first, but right now the only sport playing that I'm interested in is the NHL hockey. Yes, and we are hurtling our way towards Friday's NHL trade deadline, and that's why we're excited to welcome Jeff Rimmer in the next segment, the Hall of Fame voice of the Panthers and the Columbus Blue Jackets, which incidentally are two teams on Sergei Bobrovsky's resume. And all that I was trying to get across here to the viewers is that, and I've been here 5 years now. It's not like I'm new covering this situation around the NHL and the trade deadline, but and then as far as sports go, because it's not an NHL specific thing, feelings get involved. The Gretzky trade, I believe it's been resolved almost 40 years later, but I'm not totally sure about that. When we talk about who's untradeable, who isn't, why are you trading somebody? Is it a hockey trade? Is it not? And for those that are just tuned in, the NHL fans across Nevada or whoever wasn't watching in hour one, the situation is, say, Sergei Bobrovsky, to me, the greatest goalie in the world right now, defending two-time Stanley Cup champion goaltender, two-time Vezina Trophy winner, is the best goalie in the game. is on an expiring contract. He's made $10 million per year for the last 7 years. Oh, man, I was trying to save this for my Panthers podcast on Wednesday, but maybe things will change by Wednesday because, as Bill Zito said at his news conference last week, a player that was available last week isn't available this week or vice versa. Things are changing fast as we approach Friday's NHL trade deadline. They've been trying to extend Bobrovsky to a new deal, and as Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet reported this week, and by the way, Friedman seems to have a pipeline into the Panthers, and I don't say that as a bad thing. I say that as I trust what Friedman says. He says it's been a challenge to re-sign Bob. So Jersey Jim, as I mentioned, is watching in New Jersey. He writes, he says, Bobrovsky doesn't like to negotiate during the season. He is taking a pay cut. He knows he has to take one, similar to what Brad Marchand did. The Panthers don't want to give him a 4-year deal. And that's from Jersey Jim, who is on top of it. So, it's becoming sticky. They can't agree on terms. So maybe, this is flowing far too well. We roll into point 2 of the Quick Six show topics. The Vegas Golden Knights yesterday. Were you watching that game on TNT? Sure you were. Or Sportsnet in Canada. Brian Rust, Ben Kindle, and Justin Brazeau each had a goal and assist, helping Pittsburgh beat Vegas 5-0. Golden Knights netminder Aiden Hill stopped 17 shots. Knights dropped to 4-7-2 in their last 13 games, and Captain Mark Stone left late in the first period with an undisclosed injury. Let me just say this. Just supposing, with zero background information really, but if Sergei Bobrovsky wants to prove he's all that, maybe he says, yeah, trade me. Because I heard that he doesn't want to be traded. That doesn't surprise me. He loves it here, loves the franchise. I heard he didn't want to go. That's the rumor around town. Can we say that without getting canceled? But maybe, hey, how about a move to Vegas or Edmonton or Montreal for the next 3 months? Let's just say Vegas, because they can't decide who the goalie is. Every time I watch, it's a different goalie in net for the Golden Knights. You got Bob, who to me is still Bob. He's got 2 kids, like under the age of 4. Maybe he wants out of the house for a while. Go stay in the top floor of the Aria in Vegas, play hockey, win a Stanley Cup with the Golden Knights, and prove you're still all that. Because while and I'm watching that game last night, the Islanders and the Golden Knights, and I don't know if Jeff Rimmer's logged in yet or not, but you get it. I'm sure you do as fans do too. Like, I'm a Bob guy, have always been a Bob guy. He's my favorite goalie in the NHL since Marc-Andre Fleury retired. I think we all love the flower. Bob Wischhausen's calling the game on ESPN, reading off Bob's stats this year, and specifically, against the Islanders or against teams from that division. They weren't that flattering, and I'm getting mad. I'm like, well, you're making him look bad. Wait. He's just reading the stats. It is what it is. Again, former goalie here. You want a save percentage of 900. Ideally, 920 is knocking it out of the park, stopping 92% of the shots. Bob's at like 867. Statistically, he hasn't had a great year. It's not great in a contract year. And the fans are all on his ass, but who cares what the fans say? I'm sorry, but it's true. Maybe he wants to go. Initially, I heard he didn't, but maybe that'll change. Zito was the guy that said things are changing fast around the league. So anyways, thanks for coming to my TED Talk on that. Again, looking for lunch plans, Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon always has room for you. Try the coconut shrimp and thank me later. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early and stay late at the place where friends meet. Point 3. The new league year might not officially start until March 11th, but it really feels like it begins at the annual NFL Scouting Combine. New coaches are in place. Teams are getting a good look at the 2026 draft class, and key storylines for the upcoming season are forming. What is seen on TV during what the critics call Underwear Olympics is just one aspect of the NFL Scouting Combine activity in Indianapolis. Key offseason moves are germinating, with many blooming when the free agent frenzy begins on March 9th. Are you paying attention to that? Next Monday, or a week from today, is the NFL free agent season opening. I think that our focus is going to be on hockey, but maybe not. We still air in several NFL markets. It's kind of became clear to me last week. It's not the NFL's fault that the combine's boring. I told you I had Joe Lazito staying with me this weekend. He was nice enough while I was watching the combine to not say, "Can we change the channel?" Now, when I had the NBA on, he was like, basically said, "Can we change the channel?" Again, we're all into the same things this time of year, post Super Bowl. But as I sat there on Saturday watching, I don't know how many, 50 10-yard outs in a row, I'm like, I can't do this. Click. It's not the NFL's fault. They got to do it. Somewhere along the line, probably ESPN said, "Can we televise your combine?" And the NFL would have said, "Yeah, it's not that exciting. Can we just trust us? Can we do it?" 30 years later, here we are. It's boring. Nobody wants to watch it anymore. And yet, this is where all the don't get me started. This is where all the power brokers meet. Jerry Jones held a news conference on a bus on Friday, and here's Jerry talking about the upcoming season for the Cowboys, franchise tagging George Pickens. That's what's good about the combine. It's not about the combine. It's about everybody getting together and what comes out of it. And a lot came out of it NFL-wise. I'm just not prepared to get into it here today because people want to talk hockey. Thank you, Carlos in Indianapolis, for pointing out 1:11 Eastern for our live viewers, 11:11 Mountain. Visualize a positive outcome. If you're going to overthink positive. Have you thought about that? Where's John Ohm today, by the way? Jason and Red Deer, you speak for a lot of people when you say, "I can't stand watching athletes bitch about only making millions of dollars and then step aside because there are a ton of players lined up to play that won't bitch about it." Hello. I know, but that's the whole thing about, I'm with you, but it's just putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. And I don't know what the Panthers are offering Sergei Bobrovsky, but if you're used to making $10 million a year and they're offering $5 million, you might be a little miffed by that if you have a modicum of self-respect. David, number 2 in Winnipeg, writes in. He says, "Bob is on the back nine of his career and always putting for bogey." Again, there's a little thing about proving people wrong that maybe that's why he would like to maybe accept the trade now. I heard he didn't want to be traded. Okay, that's what I heard. That's not from him. That's just the word around town. It might not even be true. Bob in Medicine Hat writes in. It was from last hour, but I'm going to read it here. He says, "Good morning, Rod and Scruffy. Bob from Medicine Hat, back watching your awesome show. How about those Montreal Canadiens? Have a great day, guys. Ole, 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 ole." We do have Jeff Rimmer coming up in the next segment, but tomorrow, AJ Jakubik's going to be with us, and please remind me to rub his nose in it. I haven't looked at the standings today, but I remember going into the season. Do you remember we had a poll question, who's going to finish higher, the Montreal Canadiens or the Ottawa Senators? Who will have more points? He's like, obviously Ottawa. I don't think that's a thing. 902-518-3033. That's the text line. Oh, and by the way, we're brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. From strategic communications to leadership training and conversational content, we help your message connect and inspire. Wayne out in Victoria writes in. He says, "Well, Rod, it's still 2.5 months until the CFL preseason starts, so that's why I'm following the NHL countdown to the playoffs." Well, and that's the thing. It's March 2nd. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the CFL every single day when they're not even talking about themselves. Why would I? It's, what did you guys say, the viewers last week? There's nothing going on in the CFL. Okay, let's go with that. I'll just say it. I asked Nathan Rourke a couple of weeks ago. I asked the BC Lions if Nathan Rourke was available. He's not available. He's working out. Totally fine. We'll fill the segment with NFL talk. That's fine. Hey, I lost on that one. the whole argument of there's an onus amongst the players and coaches and GMs to promote the league. I don't even know if that's a thing. There used to be. I'm not sure if there is anymore. That's, hey, you don't want to come on, you don't want to interrupt your workout. That's totally great. I got my hands slapped back in the day for trying to talk CFL when I was on the damn radio rights holder of one of the teams in the off season. So you know what? I get it. We'll talk about something else. Save for Football Fridays. Okay? It's the off season. They don't want to be bothered. We'll be back. Jason writes in, he says, Bob is still an amazing goalie. He is the biggest reason why the Oilers didn't win the last 2 Stanley Cups. Well, of course, you don't go that in a year. But we'll talk with Jeff Rimmer about that. He's called many of Bobrovsky's games. We watched them together the other night. It is the RP Show on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network across Nevada and across Canada on Game.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP Show continues, brought to you in part by Vegas.com. Save 50% or more on the best Vegas shows this week, like Piano Man, a tribute show to Elton John and Billy Joel. Also, Zombie Burlesque and The Vegas Show. Get your tickets today at Vegas.com. All right, Jeff Rimmer joins us. Over 2,500 games called in the National Hockey League, primarily with Columbus and Florida. Welcome to the program, Jeff, the RP Show. Welcome back. Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and I enjoyed spending Saturday night at the Jackets, or excuse me, not the Jackets, but the Panthers game. I got the Jackets on the brain because Columbus has a huge game tonight in New York against the Rangers. I've been on the phone with the boys here already. They've lost 2 in a row, and after winning 7 straight, including a game that I had the good fortune of broadcasting, they need to get back on the winning side here if they have any thoughts of making it to the postseason.
Hey, to our Canadian viewers, I never got this straight. Do you list your hometown as Calgary or Toronto or somewhere else?
I was born in Toronto, moved to Calgary at the age of 14, and I share the two communities as my hometown. Okay. And then it was off to Edmonton and the CBC. I can continue to go through all the spots, but we don't have enough time.
Okay, well, I was right then. Toronto and Calgary's Jeff Rimmer joining us, but again, the longtime voice
right,
of the
Rod.
Panthers.
You are always
right.
right.
You're a great. Your nose is growing, Jeff. Okay, have I read or misread this Bobrovsky situation? That it's highly delicate. What's going on right now as we approach Friday's trade deadline?
I don't know how delicate it is. I think it's real. I think that. Certainly, if you look at Bill Zito and what he's been able to accomplish here in the last couple of years, and that is build back-to-back Stanley Cup championship teams, but it came at a price. There were draft picks given up. There were young players given up in order to pick up the key pieces that led them to back-to-back Stanley Cups. Having said that, obviously there would be interest around the NHL, a couple of teams in particular, to have a goalie, a Stanley Cup champion goaltender, a future Hall of Famer on their squad. But you were absolutely correct, and I was listening at the start of the show, or at least the start of this hour, and that is that Sergei Bobrovsky, who I know very, very well and have a pretty good friendship with him. I know that he really would prefer to finish the season and then re-sign here in Florida as opposed to going somewhere else and finish the year. Having said that, I guess it's a possibility. And what if somebody comes along and makes Zito the kind of offer that he can't refuse? Obviously, he'll have a discussion with his star goaltender and say, hey, we have every intention of bringing you back. In fact, if I can tell a tale out of school, there are general managers in the history of the National Hockey League that have moved players at the deadline and then wink, wink, we're going to bring you back, to the point of maybe already having a contract in the top drawer of the general manager's office. Don't tell Gary Bettman. And obviously the idea is, yeah, Bobrovsky will be back, or whatever player will be back next year. But hey, when you're looking for assets, particularly a team like Florida moving ahead, why not?
As long as we're telling tales out of school, I heard the exact same thing. He doesn't want to be traded. He loves it here. His family's here. And I think we all think he would come back in July. But that helps Bill Zito's bargaining position, because it's sort of like if you're Vegas or Montreal or Edmonton and you need a goalie, then you're really going to have to pay for it, because Bob doesn't want to leave South Florida. So what do you think the odds are that it happens?
Boy, I'm not a gambler, but I guess I'm not going to put any odds on it, but I'm telling you, the deadline is 3:00 Friday, Eastern time. If somebody makes an offer that Zito can't refuse, he's going to have a conversation with Bob and his agent. Bob wants to stay here. Obviously, contractually, there'll be a discussion, or maybe there already have been several discussions, and there's an idea and parameters where the team wants to be, and ultimately where Bobrovsky and his agent want to be. So I'm not going to say one way or the other, but I'll say, hey, anything can happen between now and 3:00 Friday Eastern time.
I'm with you. 50-50 maybe? 50-50? That's me saying it, not you. But listen, for whatever reason, we didn't bring up your stint in Montreal, and I would like to before this segment ends if we have time. That means we're going to have to make it quick. I love your stories, the Dick Irvin stuff and all that. But this NHL season, because I haven't had you on this show this season, it's been wild, hasn't it? Olympics aside, it's been pretty crazy.
I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've watched pretty well every hockey game now that I'm into my second year of retirement. Fortunately, I got a chance to go back to Columbus here a few weeks ago and televise the Jackets' final game prior to the Olympic break. It was Chicago and a good old Western Canadian kid from Vancouver, but played Regina. And of course, we saw Connor Bedard. And I'll tell you what, he has really impressed me. In fact, I spent some time with former Blue Jacket, now the captain of the Blackhawks, Nick Foligno. We've become very, very close and very, very good friends. And Nick just marvels at him and felt unfairly Bedard. I know I'm getting off topic here, but unfairly Bedard was maybe asked to do too much initially, and too much was expected. We all know, I certainly know, watching him in junior for all those years, he was going to excel in the NHL and be potentially a player that's going to dominate for years to come, and he will. And I saw a big breakthrough from this season to even last year and the year before in his game, and he is on the cusp of really becoming the player that everybody expects him to be.
Got to give Jeff Blashill the credit for that, because not only has he's never wanted to play defense, he really has never tried to play defense, and Blashill's the first coach to get him to do it. John Ohm is watching in Winnipeg. He says, just like Bob, Hellebuck is going nowhere. Both teams need to score goals to bail out their goalies. And he says, I met Dick Irvin years ago. He was a past girlfriend's uncle. How about that? There's a lot to unpack there, Jeff. There's a lot to unpack there.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to touch it, though. Hey,
no,
Dick,
me either. No,
Dick, for me, I worked for him for 7 years, over 7 years, 7.5 years at CF Montreal, radio and television. One of the premier broadcasters. In fact, I'll tell you what, I had the good fortune in Canada to work for the top two sportscasters, in my opinion, all the time. Ernie Afghani's, I worked for in Edmonton at CBC, 5 years there. And of course, 7 years in Montreal, working alongside Dick Irvin. And I'll tell you what, two outstanding sportscasters and two of the all-time best. Anywhere.
Well, continue. Keep going. You're on a roll.
On a roll. Back to Montreal. It was great seeing the Canadians win 4 straight Stanley Cups in the late 70s, and then agonized in the early 80s with the Montreal Expos, with Carter and Dawson and Raines and Steve Rogers and Jeff Reardon. Get close, but not get to the promised land. And it was Rick Monday on that famed Monday when Jim Fanning went not to his bullpen, but to his starting pitcher, Steve Rogers, as opposed to going to Jeff Reardon. And Monday deposited a home run ball over the Olympic Stadium fence in right field. And that was it as far as the Expos going to what could have been a potential World Series. And then 1984, my last year in Montreal. I know you want to jump in here. When I talked Pete Rose into coming to the great city of Montreal to help the Expos get over the top. After all, the guy's a winner, a proven winner. And of course, there's a long story in that regard with Pete and I and our friendship.
You go along as much as you want. This is my home. You come in, make yourself comfortable. John Ohm writes in and says, Dick was an amazing person. I'll tell you what, John, he's not dead. He's 93. He's still alive. I just looked it up. But hey, back to the Hellebuck thing for a second. We said he's not going anywhere. What would you say is the biggest story in the NHL this season? Because for me, Jeff Rimmer, it would be the Jets' bottom falling out.
Yeah, I mean, they were right there last year, potentially a Stanley Cup winner. In fact, there were several times I talked to my former broadcast partner, Jody Shelley, and we thought they were the best team. Certainly in the Western Conference, if not, in fact, the National Hockey League. And that's been the case the last couple of years. But for some reason, they've fallen off. And as your astute listener and writer suggested, they got to get more goals. They got to get more offense. And it's been kind of a disappointment in that regard, save for perhaps Scheifele. Scheifele's had another great year, but you can't do it alone.
Trevor Harris chiming in from WQAM Miami watching right now. Trevor Harris says, "What up, Rod?" And Jeff Rimmer, a South Florida guy, tuned in here today. Well, with the condensed schedule because of the Olympics, Jeff, I think you were mentioning earlier, somebody was saying Paul Maurice and Bill Zito, they don't want to wave the white flag in the season. Coaches and GMs never do. It's been an odd season. The stats are against them making the playoffs, but it's pretty hard right now to even pick a Stanley Cup final meeting or matchup, given the way this season has gone, let alone who's going to even be in the playoffs in 2 months' time.
I thought here in the East that Tampa's been the best team that I've seen play live and in certainly on television. And out West, Colorado, but for whatever reason, they kind of stubbed their toes from time to time. And I think they're trying to make it big here. Rimmer's Rumors, which was one of my popular segments when broadcasting. I'll give you the Rimmer Rumor of the day, and that is look for Kadri to be traded back to Colorado. I really believe that is going to be his destination. And I say that because last night, Chris McFarland, former assistant general manager, by the way, of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who's now running the show alongside Joe Sakic, he and two of his advisors and assistants were at the Anaheim game last night, getting a pretty good look at Kadri in the Calgary Flames uniform. And I think that's just a matter of time, working out the semantics. But I think you're going to see Kadri back in Colorado.
You know, what's interesting about that? Rimmer's Rumor, there you go. Nazem Kadri back to Colorado. Probably pretty hard for the Flames to wave the white flag. It's hard for any team to do, but it's just math. You know, they haven't had that season. But in the time we have left, which is about 7 minutes, they got a new rink going up there, Jeff. I guess you weren't in Calgary when the Saddledome was being built. You must have just missed it.
No, I missed it by a few years, but I spent many a memorable night at the old Calgary Corral, and with the high boards. And in fact, my first year in Calgary, all right, 1967, the Vancouver Canucks had their training camp in those early years at the Calgary Corral, and they came in on a yearly basis, and I kind of hung around the rink like a rink rat, which I've done since I used to sneak into Maple Leaf Gardens growing up in Toronto early on, and talking the players into carrying me through the gates so I could get into the Fort Knox, they called Maple Leaf Gardens. But the Calgary Corral was quite a building. And the players sat in tiered benches, 3 rows of benches. And that was when junior hockey was in the prime. There wasn't the NHL out in Western Canada, and it was the Western Canadian Junior League, the likes of Patty Janelle and Flin Flon, Scotty Monroe in Calgary, Wild Bill Hunter in Edmonton, Ernie Punch McLean. I'll tell you, those were the days of junior hockey in Western Canada.
You trying to make me tear up. God's team, the Regina Pats, won the Memorial Cup in that barn in 1974. Clark Gillies and the crew, right?
Yeah. My first games play-by-play were in the Western League, filling in for Joe Carberry. I did a game in the Swift Current Arena with the likes of Ruskowski and several other prominent NHLers, Brian Trottier along the way, and John Davidson, who, of course, he and I became great friends when I walked into homeroom in Calgary in grade 10, starring for the Calgary Centennials and those great Oil King teams. Those were great years, and I enjoyed each and every one of them. I'm a Western Canadian by heart.
As am I. And by the way, for our viewers tuning in across Nevada, I feel like the Canadian viewers need no introduction to this guy, but Jeff Rimmer is with us, 2,500 plus games called in the National Hockey League, Columbus Blue Jackets and Florida Panthers. And I will say this, John Ohm is watching in Winnipeg.
How about that guy McCrimmon? How about that guy in Vegas, McCrimmon? How's he doing?
Hey, you tell me, man. What are they going to do, by the way? They got bombed. They didn't look too good in Pittsburgh on Sunday.
I know they did not. I watched some of that game, and but you know what? I would expect that Mr. McCrimmon will roll up those sleeves, and he's got a surprise or two up his sleeve. And he's got George McPhee there as his president. George is one of the most wonderful people that I got to know in my career early on in hockey. I got a lot of respect for him. And McCrimmon and McPhee, you look for them to improve the team by Friday.
It's just Bill Lindsay said on this show last week, he was like, why are they always a Stanley Cup contender every year? Because of Kelly McCrimmon. That's why. But let me ask you this. After my first Golden Knights game attended, Kelly texted me and goes, what did you think? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know where to look. Explosions going off, dancers dropping from the ceiling, dancing girls. What was it like to call a game in the Fortress in Vegas, Jeff?
It was great. Their pregame entertainment, and of course, they received all the accolades. And by the way, I hate to keep talking about Columbus, but their game operations guy came out of Columbus because he was the Blue Jackets and worked Nationwide Arena. And I'll tell you, he was a tremendously talented guy. Stayed there for a couple of years and then went to the Garden in New York, most famous arena in the world. But that pregame and just the excitement in that building. And I enjoyed each and every time I had a chance to broadcast out of that facility. And by the way, the food in the press box wasn't too bad either.
I wouldn't know. John Ohm says, great guest, Rimmer. Yeah, you say great guest, Jeff Rimmer. And hey, that's what we don't have anybody on here that's not a great guest. But since you bring that up, great food there. Everybody says their best road barn is the Bell Center in Montreal, but I feel like that's not what you said was yours. What was your favorite rink to go into on the road?
Well, the Shin Show is excellent.
Hot dog.
I can't judge arenas by the food. I judge arenas by the broadcast location, and the best broadcast locations would be Vancouver, the Gondola, the home of Jim Robson, who unfortunately passed away here a few weeks ago. The Air Canada Centre, they're hanging over the ice similarly. Montreal Forum, great story of Little Caesars Arena in Detroit because Mickey Redmond and Ken Daniels measured the distance from the gondola in Montreal to the ice level, and they duplicated it in Little Caesars. So that's another one of the great ones. But hey, the food, it's pretty good in each and every arena. But for me, it's the broadcast location. I guess I'm being selfish.
No, that's totally fine. I do remember you were on Cats and Bolts. You said New Jersey was your least favorite, which surprised. We're airing in the Garden State right now, so be careful what you say. But you said New Jersey was not your favorite road trip.
Well, since Tommy Fitzgerald is there, another former Florida Panther general manager, he made it a little more interesting for me when I went to New Jersey. But I'll put New Jersey up a notch or two since Fitzy's been there, although he's under a little bit of heat because that team has underperformed, what with the injuries and all. But I still think they've got a pretty solid foundation for the future with the likes of the Hughes and the two of them, at least, maybe the third if Quinn Hughes says no to the Wild, although I think he's going to stay there in Minnesota if I had to bet on that right now. But I think Fitzy will be fine there in New Jersey, and the Devils will be fine moving forward.
All right, everybody. Jeff Rimmer joining us, and so gracious to spend some time with us. Follow his stuff and listen for him, NHL Radio. He's all over the place and here, too, as we get ready for Friday afternoon's NHL trade deadline. Jeff, thanks for this. Always an honor to chat with you, my friend. Keep in touch. We'll see you soon.
Can I plug my book?
Oh, they're kicking us off the air. It doesn't get any better than this. His book is coming out. We got to let him go, but thank you, Jeff. Sorry about that. Everybody, we'll be right back here on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video. so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
It's been a fantastic start to the week, hasn't it? On this show, anyways. Thanks for being a part of our program today and making us a part of your day here on the Game Plus TV network and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And, thanks to Jeff Rimmer for saying it, because I don't know. I got PTSD from reporting things that I know. He said it. Sergei Bobrovsky doesn't want to leave Florida. That's what I was led to believe last week. And if anything, that strengthens the position of the general manager of the Panthers, Bill Zito, if somebody wants to get Bob out. And by the way, Jersey Jim is still watching in New Jersey right now on the Game Plus TV network. Hey, Jimmy. He says, I heard you say Vegas and Bob. Who suggested that? Oh, yeah, me. Wouldn't that be something if Sergei Bobrovsky ended up in Vegas with the Golden Knights? Frankly, it's all that they're missing as far as I'm concerned. It's going to be a fun week working our way towards Friday's NHL trade deadline. AJ Jakovic will be with us on Tuesday to talk about all things NHL, some NFL. That's the stuff that we get into here. Which, speaking of that, I guess I should do a sports update, and I'll do tonight's picks in the next segment. The struggling Toronto Maple Leafs face the visiting Philadelphia Flyers in NHL play Monday night. Toronto has lost 3 straight since returning from the league's Olympic break and is tied for last in the Atlantic Division. The Flyers have won 2 in a row, but sit 6 points out of a playoff spot. I saw those Leaf fans, God bless them, saying on social media, because I follow them, hey, those first 3 games were nothing. Tonight we roll. God bless their pea-picking heart. The Vancouver Canucks are in tough as they welcome the Dallas Stars. The Stars have won 8 in a row and sit second place in the Western Conference. It's a franchise record, tying record, 8 straight wins for the Dallas Stars. A win tonight over Vancouver will set a new franchise mark. The Canucks ended the game last place overall in the NHL. DJ Smith gets a tough assignment in his return to the NHL's head coaching ranks as his LA Kings host the league-leading Colorado Avalanche. The former Ottawa Senators coach was promoted to the Kings' interim head coach job after Jim Hiller was fired Sunday. The Kings have lost 5 of the last 6 to fall 3 points out of a Western Conference playoff spot. Can I ask you something? Are you going to be into college hoops? March Madness is firing up. Duke is number 1 in the Associated Press men's college basketball poll for the second straight week, extending their all-time record with the program's 149th appearance in the top spot. The Blue Devils received 55 of 59 first-place votes. Number 2, Arizona, received the other 4. Michigan, UConn, and Florida round out the top 5. And by the way, the sports update is brought to you by our friends at the Ultimate Fan Zone. Dress like a fan, not a spectator. Ultimate Fan Zone has everything you need. Jerseys, hats, hoodies, and more. Start shopping now at ultimatefanzone.ca. The reason I legitimately want to ask you, because I could throw a stone and hit 5 sports betting experts around here, and a lot of them friends of mine. Should I get them on the show? Do you want to talk college hoops? I wouldn't even know where to start, other than apparently Duke is the number 1 team in the nation. It's March. It's March Madness time. Because on the flip side, as our numbers escalate, and I look at this and realize why we're giving you something nobody else does, they really love the NHL talk. So it's like, why would we go away from that? You know? But maybe you want it. I was saying to Jersey Jim, who apparently is still watching in Jersey. He's come and stayed with me. And I said, Jimmy, what's bigger in the USA? College basketball or the NHL? He says, college basketball. It's not even a doubt. But there's still millions of NHL fans. So I'm just asking you, what are you into? 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. When we come back in the next segment, we will do tonight's NHL game picks. There are 6 games, 4 in the NBA, and maybe a little more on our poll question today, which is, are you going to be into the World Baseball Classic? I feel like it wouldn't take much to get you into it, but it's going to drop right in the middle of March Madness. So, again, a lot of things going on in a very crowded sports marketplace. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. You're watching the RP Show across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and across Canada on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Welcome back, everybody, for Overtime. Proudly brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, the semi-hometown of today's guest, Jeff Rimmer. An amusement park for hockey players. What are you sitting here watching me for? Get down to Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary and tell them the RP Show sent you. They air our program there every day on their big screens in their licensed bar. Yeah, Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. Okay. NHL game picks tonight. Again, God bless the pea-picking heart of the Leaf fans. They think they're going to win tonight against Philadelphia. I do not. It's a Flyers win from the RP Show, predicted. Columbus Blue Jackets to the New York Rangers tonight. That's a toughie. I feel like every time I watch the Rangers, they win. Who are they playing? Pittsburgh on Saturday. The Penguins were motorboating them all game long. Then the Rangers just get serious and come back and win in extra time. They're a juggernaut or an enigma. I feel like I'm going to take the Rangers to win again. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in, what are you guys talking about? Oh, college basketball. Hey, if you want us to talk about it, producer Corey said he's got a wealth of guests he can put on. Do you want us to at least spend one show on college basketball? Be forewarned. I know nothing about it. I would be better off hosting an NBA show. Me. The farm kid from Milestone, Saskatchewan, where I never even saw basketball until I was 18. Detroit at Nashville. Definitely the Wings. The Dallas Stars over Vancouver. There's your lock of the night, brought to you by Master Locks. Stars beating Vancouver. Carolina at Seattle tonight. How about the Canes? They've got points in 12 straight and have taken over first place in the East. It's Carolina win from the RP Show. And Colorado at LA. We just said that's a tough one. That's a toughie. I think the Kings will win. Dead cat bounce. First game under the new coach, DJ Smith. There you go. That's our picks, brought to you by our friends at Pump Jacks Cathedral. Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. By the way, have you signed up yet for the Rod Squad newsletter? It's free. Thousands of people, can't be wrong, they've signed up for it, and it's brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. You know, it's funny, by the way, with it's all a bunch of BS. Have you figured that out yet? It's all a bunch of BS. What we're doing every day, and hundreds and thousands of guys and gals on it's all a bunch of BS. Nobody knows what's going to happen on the trade deadline on Friday. What did Jeff Rimmer say? Look, Rimmer's rumors look for Kadri to be traded back to Colorado. Will you remember or will you forget that in an hour? Because I probably will. Trade deadline speculation and trade bait. NFL mock drafts and March Madness pools. Throw them up in the air like confetti, but they're still fun to talk about, aren't they? So Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says it's going to be finally Gonzaga's year out of Spokane. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, doesn't agree. He's a big basketball guy. I used to always pick Montana in my pools. Guess what? I always lost. Why did I pick Montana? Because it was the closest place to me playing in the tournament. Jason and Red Deer write, geographically closest. Past life. Jason says, man, this show flew by. Great show to start a huge week for the NHL. And Jason says he'll remember what Rimmer said about Kadri because his name comes up every 5 minutes in Alberta. Well, that's the thing. That's why I understand why the numbers are growing so fast in America, because there ain't nobody else talking about what we talk about in the US of A and in Canada. We put a little bit of our own different spin on it, but you're also going to learn things here that you won't anywhere else. I think it's because Jeff Rimmer is retired that he can say whatever the hell he wants and not worry about it. I'm on the scene, all right? I heard last week that Bob doesn't want to be traded, but I was afraid to say because I don't know how that affects anything. I can't really think that it would hurt anybody connected to the Panthers, Bob nor Bill Zito. Like Zito's like, literally, if you want Sergei Bobrovsky, Vegas, you're going to have to pay us for it. And the one thing about the general manager in Vegas, Kelly McCrimmon, he's not afraid to pay high prices for somebody that he thinks will allow them to win. Now, having said that, the Golden Knights fans, Jason, you're one. Why is Carter Hart not playing 80% of the games? Is he hurt now? Because I would be playing him. It was Aiden Hill yesterday, and he looked bad. I know he won a Stanley Cup for them in 2023. He ain't going to the Hall of Fame anytime soon. I think Vegas could use Sergei Bobrovsky. I definitely know Edmonton could. And Montreal as well. There should be a lot of teams burning up the phone lines with Bill Zito, the GM of the Panthers. But as we've now confirmed, Bob doesn't want to be traded. So we'll see how that goes. And then the other thing is with the Edmonton, mentioning it with Scruffy last week, the Oilers are top 5, number 5 team in the Stanley Cup futures bets at ESPNBet.com, powered by FanDuel. Number 5, the Oilers. And Mitch goes, well, as long as they have Draisaitl and McDavid, they're going to be that high. Well, then what's all the bitching for? How much they suck. You go all the way to the Stanley Cup and lose in Game 7 by a 2-1 score 2 years ago. You lose in Game 6 last year with shoddy goaltending. Not hard for me to figure out what they need. I don't know what the holdup is. Katahat is injured. That makes sense. Well, they got to get him healthy and fast. AJ Jakovic joining us tomorrow. Scruffy will be back. It's going to be big fun. Enjoy the sports, everybody. And try and stay out of the madness as much as you can. You know we're always going to have fun here and treat you well. We'll be back tomorrow on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
That